You know, I think that that's a huge part of what I do, is to take risks and try different processes and different methods of layering things together. I did a lot of pen and ink growing up as a kid because you'd be in school and doodling and that on your papers and that sort of thing. And so then, you know, I thought, well, I'll put a little pencil crayon on, see how that looks, and then tried watercolor on top of that. And so found that you could really get different feel with the different types of mediums. My work tends to be larger, so I like bigger canvases and bigger images, I guess, and sculpture. So I've probably one of my most well-known sculptures was my maple leaf that I had in my front field that was 500 plus tires, and of course my paddle paintings and that, which are acrylic. Northern Lights College in Dawson Creek had a really excellent instructor, Lane Dolan, who did just a great job of helping us to understand and push our comprehension of what art is and what it can be. I think realism is where I start, and then I try to push it into abstraction and see where I can take it and balance those two sides of the equation, sort of thing. Yeah, I worked in a sign shop and commercial artist and did logo design, and back in the day I did hand lettering, pinstriping, all that, airbrushing, and we painted walls and did all kinds of interesting things. Sort of a balance of being able to do art and be able to make money for my growing family. I was born in Williams Lake and grew up in this area, and then we moved away for quite a few years. And then we came back about 8 years ago, and I've really started to push my painting and my art and do shows. This home here, which my grandparents actually homesteaded, this land many years ago, and built this house back in the 70s, and so we're fortunate to be able to live here now. It was for Canada's 150th birthday. So it was that summer that I did it, the summer of the fire, so 2017. So we actually had a big fire. When the fire started, it started just across the river here and came up on that Friday, that first day of the fires. And we had a whole battalion of firefighters that camped out in our field and basically saved our land for us. We only lost a few fence posts, but yeah, it was really close. And I think actually that tire sculpture in the front yard helped bring the firefighters here, because then they had that visual aerial view, right? So they could direct things from here. So it's, I just feel compelled to speak about the beauty and the complexity and just the intricacy of all that we see around us, and the light and the color. We were talking earlier about the water and just the way it moves and changes, and it looks so simple to do, and yet when you try to get into it, it's very, very complex, and there's a lot of reflection and refraction and shadows and highlights and water it's absolutely incredible. I was taught in school, and it's served me well, is to work not only from photographs but also from tangible objects. So sometimes I'll go out and collect branches and feathers and different things like that to help. As artists, we think, oh yeah, I know this object, and then you start painting it. It's amazing how much is there that we think we've seen, that we actually have missed a lot. So I tend to want to have as much information available to me as possible when I'm painting. Even if I am trying to push it to the abstract side, I still want that information there to help me create the shapes and the tones and the values that I'm looking for. When I was young, about 14, 15, I was really into hawks and eagles and that, and really, reading about them and drawing them, and really wanted to have one. I read My Side of the Mountain at that time, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be so cool. I was really excited about that. And my aunt knew a university student that had got permission from the government to take one from a nest, and did all the paperwork and everything. And then he got called to do a project in California, and had no way to take the little fledgling red-tailed hawk with him. So I ended up having that hawk and raising it and I spent a lot of time working with her and really enjoyed that. So that's that one painting behind me that's probably my favorite, memory and one of my favorite paintings. So it's a marine plywood that is a sealed surface that we use in sign painting. And so I was able to sand that very, very smooth, and then I took pen and I was able to get some really nice variation in texture and tone and stylize it and be able to really draw that very accurately. And then I took oil paint and did what you would do on old photographs, sort of colorize it in parts. And then I took a piece of just wood and scraped in the trees in the back. So although they look fairly realistic, it's quite an abstract.
So the cement sculpture I did quite a few years ago. Actually, it was intended to be more of a looking at the everyman aspect, how we're all sort of part of a larger community, and there's various aspects and differences that really make us unique and yet make us one. And that was the intention, but it looks more like an idol, unfortunately.
I've been very well supported in Quesnel, but not through COVID. COVID's been a real challenge. At the beginning of the pandemic, I had a solo show at a hospital in Grand Prairie, which has been a great venue. A lot of traffic in the past. I've had shows there. And it was pretty much impossible for anyone to get in to see the show. For a while, probably almost a year and a half, I really didn't paint much at all and was really kind of disappointed with the whole thing. But I've started painting again, and I've probably been painting more now than I have ever painted. It's also taught me to do more social media stuff, and it's taught me to be more interactive with my artistic friends and to build that community, and that's been a real plus. It's really important to have that community and have people around you that help you promote your art, help you improve your art, and help you really stay positive and upbeat about what you're doing. And because there's so many incredible artists out there, and I think group shows are a big thing, and that's something that this group show that I just had was really able to accomplish in a lot of ways. Is there's several artists in that group that have shown before, but there's several that have never shown their artwork before, or never been in a gallery before, where they see, oh, my stuff is actually quite comparable to other artists around me when I see it in a gallery setting. Now it's on a wall with lights and it's beside other people's stuff, and while it's daunting, it's also often surprising how well our stuff compares. I think it's probably more important to their growth as an artist than they realize. So I've got a very large fish sculpture that I've done out of metal.
This was in a solo show or a group show in Smithers and Terrace, and that for about 3 months. But it speaks about this is all plastic material, which is a twine that I've braided, and it goes all the way around the back, and then the plastic on the inside. So this talks about fish and the beauty and the complexity and the intricacy of their life and their lifespan, and what happens as they find themselves from a little egg all the way back to the same spot again at the end of their life. And then it also talks about the pollution. The plastic on the inside talks about the pollution and just some of the damage we've done as humans to their habitat and that actually affects them internally.
I have a wonderful wife who's been very, very supportive and very helpful. But yeah, there are times when I don't do a lot of creating that she notices I get quite a bit grumpier because I basically get out of balance, right? So she's basically told me, go create something. And art can really do that. Can really make a difference in our lives, in our appreciation and our enjoyment of our life. Yeah, and it definitely helps keep me in balance.